video to, I guess, Corlex 123. Anyway, got the video. I don't know what happens with like Google and the way YouTube is now. It's hard to link videos to people's videos, and you want to respond to somebody, you can't respond to somebody, and there's all this reviewing comments on my... that's stupid. I liked it the old system where somebody posted a comment, you just freaking, answered them. But anyway, I did get the video, I watched it, and yeah, you are kind of right. I do an awful lot of speculation. But my speculation is kind of like trying to predict the weather. It's not an exact science by any means. But a lot of stuff is just kind of, if you know who the players are, you know that, they're always up to no good, and that in the end people will suffer, and who they're trying to make suffering. You can get a good idea of where it might go and what the response to that might be. And that's where I get a lot of my so-called crackpot theories, so to speak. Interesting about the Swiss Air Force. I can just see, here's all these Russian tanks are coming in. Okay, we're going to find Switzerland here. Where's Switzerland? Right there. Okay, our tanks are here now. Hello, Mr. Switzerland. Yeah, we are ready to fight you now. We can't, can you come back at 8:30 in the morning? Our Air Force is not awake yet. Oh, my apologies. We'll be back in morning to have fight with you. Yeah, okay. Dobre den, как проживаю? Yeah, we have World War III tomorrow morning. Yeah, 8 o'clock. Yeah, we go for breakfast first. Yeah, okay. Anyway, enough joking around there. So, it is kind of funny that, I thought it was only Sweden that did that. Because their Air Force too, they had, wasn't it? I forget what the incident was. I think it was a ship or something that had went into the area, and like there was like the SOP Gripens, like they were sitting on the ground, but there was nobody to fly them, and yeah. But I'm sure there's a lot of Air Forces that kind of do stuff like that. Here in Canada, there's probably always somebody on standby, like the fire department, kind of thing, where you have. Navy, you have all that could be called up really quickly, but probably most of the time, like usual hours, except for for those pilots that train at night and stuff like that. It's not that uncommon, and I do find it kind of comical in the sense that state of in the 1950s. I mean, there was always somebody on staff. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so Europe in itself, I am focusing a lot in this region of the world, but this is changing the game an awful lot. Ukraine technically not a part of Europe, but it could be a hot spot for the rest of the Europe. So how does Europe play into the World War III? Well, I just look at it Cold War style, East meets West. It's still the same game. The Cold War is the new Cold War, and the new arms race is more apparent than ever now. It's just the difference is they don't fearmonger the Cold War like they used to. Now it's other things, the war on terror, whatever. But make no mistakes, there is Cold War. Now, before I get it right into the Europe thing, I've always said that when the Soviet Union collapsed and it became Russia, just regular old Russia, it never really truly collapsed because all they did is they diverted the wealth from the people to the military, and you're seeing the equipment now. I mean, the Yazan class submarines, the Bori class submarines, these things are billions of dollars. The S-400 missile systems, you have the T-50 stealth aircraft fighter, all this stuff, the T-90 tanks, all these things that the Russians are building. It's very, very clear that that money had to come from somewhere. And you have to understand all the oligarchs that won out when the Soviet Union sort of collapsed. They bought resources on pennies on the dollars. Hence, you have all these, huge oligarchs. Some of them were chased out of the country, but they're still, Putin-friendly oligarchs who were Putin himself, who was put in by oligarchs. Basically, this mob knocks off that mob. New boss, same as the old boss, that type of thing. But the thing about Putin is he is a nationalist Russian. I mean, and you can see it. I mean, he's as proud Russian, it could be. He is not pro-West in any sort of way. Meaning, when we get back into Europe, he's a threat to Europe. I mean, because you can't shake the man, right? So, going with Finland and Sweden and stuff like that. Finland obviously has had conflicts with Russia years ago. I mean, most of these, my uncle used to have a saying, it took a lot of countries to make Russia, to make that country, and that's true. So Europe still kind of has that same problem. Now, Europe is kind of, I haven't been looking at it as much, but you say, I don't know whereabouts in France you are, but you know better than me, the marvelous leadership of Hollande over there. All I'll say is better you than me, I guess. Sorry about that, but that guy's just a nut. We'll start with France. We'll start with France anyway. As you know, France is, they're in this country. They have enough. They're taxing the rich and forcing the rich out of the country. With their extreme taxes, all the public cuts there, all the, what the people are going through there. But yet these people, with a broke economy, still have enough money to, send people here. They have enough money to send people here. You have to understand, Canada jumped in on this one. Now, Canada and France are not allies in the sense, say, like Canada and the UK, or Canada and some other countries. Belgium, we've often done a lot of deals with Belgium. We do a lot of deals with Germany, stuff like that. But France, not so much. But yet we jumped in on Mali. And you're probably saying, why did we jump in on Mali? Well, because we have gold reserves there. Now, France also has, that's what they're going down. They're broke. They're broke. They have to go and get those resources. Again, it's never about helping the people. It's always about the resources, right? So France has some weird things that they do from time to time. And of course, that in itself, where they back, like Russia and stuff like that, their attitude towards Russia and stuff like that is kind of neither here nor there, in my opinion, because, they're part of NATO. They're, they know what their duties are, but can they afford their duties? It's kind of a weird thing. Maybe yes, maybe no. But at the end of the day, we know where France stands, and France, they send an awful lot of weapons down into here. There's a lot of Dassault Mirage, Dassault aircraft. They're like the Mirage 2000 and the Rafale and stuff like that. Those things. They're exporting those things for sure. Germany, well, we know what the hub of Germany is. Germany, basically the Fourth Reich is rising. The European Union is Germany. That's but it's really still being controlled by the Queen. It's all the same. Old monarchies. It's just it's kind of controlled a little bit differently. But that's the economic powerhouse of Europe, right? Well, depending on which side of Germany you're on. But you have to understand too is that even with all this, Germany really hasn't done anything against Russia at all. They really haven't argued with Russia too much. Like, yes, they have, but, in the petty sort of, Germany, they're just kind of sitting back, taking it all in because, well, they're getting money from everybody else, they have, they have the power, the infrastructure, the weapons. They're a huge weapons manufacturer. The thing about Germany is you still have infrastructure there for people to work. Doesn't mean they're not without their struggles, but they're definitely there. Poland's starting to bounce into that territory where you're getting really close to Russia. Poland's nervous because you have missile systems here, okay, and I'm not too sure about Lithuania and Latvia and Estonia. I think Estonia might be more pro Euro. I don't know. I'll just say I don't know because I haven't really looked. But these three countries here really do have, you're starting to get Russian here. You know what I mean? Belarus, sure, those white Russians, and then of course all the hubbub in Ukraine. But these countries here, they're no better off, no worse off than what they were, say, 10, 20, 15 years ago. They're all still kind of in, misery. Poland definitely got the missile systems. Hey, say, be quiet. Go outside and bark like a normal dog. My dog is so rude. So it's hard to say, I would say Latvia would probably be closer to Russia than the European Union for sure. They're not a part of it. I think Poland is, but I'm not, don't quote me on that. But all these countries here, none of them, I think they're still kind of more pro-Russia, arguably. And then you've got Romania, Slovakia, Czech Republic. Czechs are, they do well, for what they are. But the powerhouse is really going to be Germany. Now, Italy, well, there goes some more snow off the roof. Italy, Spain, Cyprus. That's Cyprus in there. Where's it? There's Crete. No, Cyprus over here, yeah. All these countries, they're all Turkey. Turkey, arguably, okay, like you say, they're not Europe, but they're Europe. Turkey's took a big hit. And this is the thing. This is the thing that a lot of people don't get with. Oh, geez, a lot of snow coming off the roof. It's all coming off the roof. Okay, which is good. That means I got to go shovel. Crap. But you got Greece here. Where was it? Yeah, Turkey. Turkey is kind of experiencing kind of what Germany has done to the other countries through during the collapse, where you've got all these other countries that basically owe money to Germany. Okay. Well, Turkey has basically taken a hit economically, within the last few weeks with their currency because of basically, you have to understand, like, the United States debt is felt worldwide, okay? And every time, like, as soon as reason why they cut quantitative easing was to hurt emerging markets and stuff like that so that people would run back to the U.S. dollar. But again, it's another Ponzi scheme. It's the same thing when I say the United States economy collapsed on the day of the Boston bombing because the gold prices were basically, they spiked up on that day. Nobody talked about it. And why they spiked up is because Goldman Sachs dumped a whole bunch of, paper gold on the market. And they've been doing this, just dumping it all on the market. They've done this a whole bunch of times. And because they did that, the gold craze is on, most of it going to China. And, of course, with that happening, it's just weakened the dollar more, so it's less attractive. So as it's coming down, well, you have to get people back. So what do? Is you hurt the emerging markets, and these countries take a hit. That country lost about 15% of its monetary value. So in other words, the United States is getting alienated. So that either means Europe either has to become stronger because of the debt, the sovereign debts, or they have to go their own way. And what you're seeing in Europe with the right on the rise, UKIP up here, and you've got Le Pen here in France. It's hard to say, like, you got Golden Dawn in Greece. Greece is still, it's horrible. Italy, you have the worst bread lines since 1945, just after World War II. Spain, you have people eating out of dumpsters. You have islands that are being sold off from Spain. It's just a mess. So you could classify probably this region, of Europe in a depression. Still functioning. Most of these countries are still functioning, but they're just not where they were. Unemployment is through the Eurozone is something like youth unemployment is like over 54%. It's insane. That's insane. So the mess economically over there is going to take another huge hit. But there's a big wild card that a lot of people are not realizing is that Germany, I don't know what Germany's going to do because they don't really need to do anything. They could stay sovereign. They could be a partner. It doesn't matter. They only benefit from the euro. They don't really take the hit from the euro. Okay, even if they bail other people out, it doesn't really hurt them because they get it back one way or another. Okay, the same way China will get back its sovereign debt, its debt from the United States. What the Chinese done instead of getting stuck with all the currencies of all this money that they've been taking, buying debt from the United States, is they've been building like these mega cities that nobody lives in. Like they're like the size of Toronto, which is Canada's largest city, or I guess Canada's largest city. Vancouver might be the number 2, and it's just huge. They're just huge. Nobody lives in them. And the thing about that is that that's so they at least have a tangible asset when the economy does tank. And make no mistake, it will tank. Whether it's an all-out collapse, which I doubt it'll be, it's the bleed out that it's the bleed out. It's not going to be. It is. Everybody's currency is in free fall. That's why it doesn't look as bad as it does. But when you talk to the man on the ground, again, you got 51% of the population on some sort of government assistance. A lot of these countries don't have those assistance programs, so you just have complete disparity. very similar to that of South America, where there's just nothing for the people whatsoever. So as bad as this is, particularly these three countries, it can get worse, and it's going to get worse. But the United Kingdom, they are kind of playing a weird game, because you have to understand, like, the Queen is really they're trying, that monarchy is still trying to have the whole world conquered, much like France and England used to do, not even a little more than 100 years ago. It was divide and conquer. I mean, just, colonies everywhere. France went a lot in Africa, the United Kingdom kind of went here, they went here, or sorry, here. They kind of semi-failed here, but kind of didn't. And then of course you got, like, all your British Commonwealth that you have. But at the end of the day, what are these guys doing? Well, now they're really talking friendly with China, because they know, they think they're going to be able to manipulate their way over, again, the transatlantic region. The transatlantic region is basically here, okay? Mexico is a 50-50 because it's as much owned by China as it is by the United States. Australia is owned by China, and so this all kind of is one region of the world. From here, pretty much from here on, they're all talking about, not all of them, but a good percentage of them are talking about the kind of like their own United Nations, their own Asian Pacific currency union, so to speak. They've had this in the work for about a decade now. So it's going to alienate North America. Europe is, again, the rock and the hard place, right? You got this faction with this faction. But this faction is really a derivative of the British monarchy. Even though most Americans will say, no, we're not British. No, it's not about the people. You have to think about how the government works and who they're favored to. Anybody Britain wants to go to war with, they go to war with. But you have to understand, this here, because it's such a complicated issue here, is that NATO, the biggest factor in NATO is the United States, right? So anytime they need a destabilization or to run a country over, or a war on terror, or weapons of mass destruction, you need the United States to be the tip of the spear on that, because they got the most sophisticated military, and they've got the biggest military. Now, don't get me wrong, many of these militaries are very, very very, very well equipped. I'm just going to make a second part here. Okay, hi and welcome. This is kind of a response video to, I guess, Corlex 123. Anyway, got the video. I don't know what happens with, like, Google and the way YouTube is now. It's hard to link videos to people's videos, and you want to respond to somebody, you can't respond to somebody, and there's all this reviewing comments on my... that's stupid. I liked it the old system where somebody posted a comment, you just freaking, answered them. But anyway, I did get the video, I watched it, and yeah, you are kind of right. I do an awful lot of speculation. But my speculation is kind of like trying to predict the weather. It's not an exact science by any means. But a lot of stuff is just kind of, if you know who the players are, that they're always up to no good, and that in the end people will suffer, and who they're trying to make suffering. You can get a good idea of where it might go and what the response to that might be. And that's where I get a lot of my so-called crackpot theories, so to speak. Interesting about the Swiss Air Force. I can just see, here's all these Russian tanks are coming in. Okay, we're going to find Switzerland here. Where's Switzerland? Right there. Okay, our tanks are here now. Hello, Mr. Switzerland. Yeah. We are ready to fight you now. We can't... can you come back at 8:30 in the morning? Our Air Force is not awake yet. Oh, my apologies. We'll be back in morning to have fight with you. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Dobre den. Как проживаю? Yeah. We have World War III tomorrow morning. Yeah, 8 o'clock. Yeah, we go for breakfast first. Yeah, okay. Anyway, enough joking around there. So, it is kind of funny that... I thought it was only Sweden that did that. Because their Air Force too, they had, I forget what the incident was. I think it was a ship or something that had went into the area, and like there was like the SOP ribbons, like they were sitting on the ground, but there was nobody to fly them, and yeah. But I'm sure there's a lot of Air Forces that kind of do stuff like that. Here in Canada, there's probably always somebody on standby, like the fire department, kind of thing, where you have. Navy, you have all that could be called up really quickly, but probably most of the time, like usual hours, except for for those pilots that train at night and stuff like that. But, it's not that uncommon, but and I do find it kind of comical in the sense that yeah.